This video is about decoding this quickset smart key cylinder. This is off of a deadbolt, of course, as you can see, and once you have it out, you pull the retainer pin out, and then you pull the cylinder back out. And assuming that you don't have a key for it, and that's the reason for this video, is that we need to figure out what the code is, and once we have the code, then we can cut a key for it and it works. That's what happened here. I decoded the key, put the key in, and put it in the housing, and of course it turns. So what we want to do today, I'm going to show you how I did it, and it's pretty simple. The first thing I did was went on my code machine and I cut all 7 cuts on each one of these keys. Got a different cut: 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 1, 2, so forth. And I just cut them straight on down, as you can tell. You know, I didn't put no individual ones on there. So when you put the key in, it goes right on in with no problem. Then I went to my old standby, my General Motors, the old-time General Motors decoding apparatus, whatever you call this, and I took the number 5, which is the closest one to the depths that I could find, and then it's pretty self-explanatory from there. You start with number 1, if I can find it here. This is number 2, this is number 1. You put number 1 in, and it's important that you go to the right gates here, and you take your tool, and which I turn it this way so I could read it. But anyway, I put the gauge in, and this gauge here is just right. If the cut is just right, then this right here will go in, excuse me, and this edge right here will hit right on this edge here, and the tip will hit the wafer down there. So whenever you put it together and get it where you can see it real well, and you put it in and you feel it hitting, and you'll see both of them. The tip hits the wafer and the lower edge hits the housing here. And so you know that is the right cut. And if number 1 don't do it, and I did it with all of them, so basically what I did, I was able to say this one is number 2. I put number 2 in there, and when I put my gauge in there, it wasn't right. It just was not right. So I took it out and put the number 3 cut in there, and when I did the number 3 cut, as you can see, put in there, and the number 3 cut, and I don't know if you can see this, but it's just bumps. It bumps both sides. This hits the wafer and this hits the shoulder of the housing here. So I just marked down 3, but while I was at it, I looked at the rest of them, and it appeared that this last one here was also a number 3, but it just appeared that way because it's kind of close. It's hard to tell. At any rate, to do it one at a time without getting confused, so I'll mark down number 3. I know that the number 3 is not the right cut because this wafer is hitting way high, as you can tell. It's way high, and this one here is also hitting way high. So I took it out, the 3 out, and I knew it had to be a deeper cut than that. So I went to the number 4, and it'd probably be better if you took them off the ring to do this. I went to the number 4, and I looked at it, and it didn't seem right because it still seemed like it's not hitting. And I don't know if you can tell that, but you can see it's not hitting right there, and this one's not hitting also, not flush. I mean to say. So I went to This was number 4, so I went to number 5. And when I put number 5 in, it was, well, let me go to 5. And it works a whole lot better if you put the right key in there. I went to number 5, and it looked pretty good. So I took my gauge and I put it in there, and you can tell, boom, it's right in there. And also this one here was right in there. So these two apparently are close or real close, or it might be it, whatever. But anyway, that's, so I put, for number 1 was a number 3 cut, 2 and 3 was a number 4 cut, and then by looking at the rest of them here, it don't look like this was right. So we started all over again with number 1, because those were pretty deep, look like deep cuts, so it might be better if you did take them off of here so you could go at them one time. So I put number 1 in, and I tried my little tool in there, my little gauge, and we worked on number 4 now, so it looked like it's sticking out, so it's not seating, and this one here is not seating also, so we know it's not number 1. We went to number 2. I think we did anyway. Find number 2. And when we found number 2, we put it in there, and bingo, is flush. As you can tell, it's flush. And number 3 is not, and number 5 is not quite. So I just marked down as the number 4 cut as to be in number 2. And the other one looks really close, so we're going to go to a number 3, and that's what's happening, because it looks really close. A number 3, and there it is. It's a number 3. So took those and put them on my code machine and cut this key, and sure enough, the first time try, first time out, it worked good. So what we can do what we can glean out of this is that once you have the cylinder out, you can still cut a key for it instead of forcing this thing open and going through all of this extra expense. Once you do all that, you usually have to replace the cylinder. If you have a spare cylinder, that's fine, and you don't have time to decode it. You can always decode it when you get back at the shop, or when you have a little bit more time. In the meanwhile, I did this simply because I had 4 locks that were all keyed the same, so it was a value to the customer and to myself also to get the job done that particular day, and get the customer going, and the job was done in one show, one stop. Thank you for listening.